And away we go. Welcome to another episode of the Hilltop Sports Report. My name is Jumpin Jack Carlson, your host. This is episode 3 of the podcast, and we've got a busy show lined up for you. Women's track and field, lacrosse season previews, and much more, all coming your way on this episode of the Hilltop Sports Report. It's time to hit the music and start the show.
Let's go Rams! Let's go Rams!
We will begin this episode with an athlete who has been making headlines recently around Cornell College. Natalie McAllister has shattered Rams record books this season with her outstanding performances. She joined me in the Academic Technology Studio to sit down and talk about her season and more. And as I mentioned a moment ago, I'm now joined in studio by Natalie McAllister, a record setter here at Cornell in women's track and field. So, before we get into the present, which Natalie has been setting all sorts of records in, let's go back in time. Walk us through your journey to Cornell, Natalie. Why did you initially choose to compete in track and field?
I started competing in track and field and club track in elementary school, actually. I didn't start hurdling until about 7th grade, and I got good, I would say, in high school. I was recruited by Tichina Stegel, who was the former head coach here at Cornell. I ultimately decided not to come to Cornell. I went to Westminster College in Salt Lake City, Utah for almost 3 years. And then during COVID, they decided that they were going to continue to stay online. I'm not a great online student, so I still had Stegel's phone number, and I texted her, and I said, "Hey, are you still recruiting?" She said, "We'd love to have you on campus." Came for a visit, fell in love with the block program, really loved her as a person, and decided to transfer.
Well, it's great to have you here on Cornell College campus, and the record books say that you're having a great career so far. So, who have been some important mentors in your athletic career, be it teammates or coaches, Natalie?
I would say my first hurdle teammate at Westminster, Grace. It was so great to have her as a teammate for 2 years. We really pushed each other and worked together. It was just fun to have her around. When I transferred, Stegel was like my rock. I still text her every single time that I set a record or I do a personal best. I text her, and she's up at McAllister College now. But she tells me, she's like, "Well, you can do better. Just keep striving." Coach Dutro as well here. He's been a great mentor to have. Dutro joined us last year as the jumps coach and also with hurdles. And he's been great to have around. I'm so glad that we were able to get him back for another season this year. We both know that I can do more, and so it's been great having him to push me through that.
Yes, and track and field is primarily an individual sport. Yes, there is a team, but most of the events are individual. How do you handle that dynamic as an athlete?
So in track and field, you're scored individually, like you're placed individually, but your placement relates to points for the team. And the whole way you win a track meet, so to speak, is you win as a team. The women's team here is really small, so it's really hard for us to score a lot of points. When we have, let's say, 1 or 2 girls in the mile, another school can have 10. And so it's really hard to get placement points, even if we do really, really well. If another team scores multiple girls, they're going to get more points. So it's hard to balance in terms of, we know that we don't have the depth going into a meet, right? So all we can do is really encourage each other to do our best. Because if we get more first and second placements, those points are worth more. And so even if other teams score more in lower placements, it results to us having a better team score overall. So we're really just wanting everybody to do their best. And we know that with our small crew that we have to do really well in order to score those points.
How does your mindset change because you're a multi-event athlete in track and field? How do you transition your mindset from, say, the 60-meter hurdles to the 4x2?
Each event requires a different mindset when you go from jumping to hurdling to sprinting, and if it's going to be an individual event or a team event. The biggest thing that my first coach taught me was that once an event's done, it's done, and there's no sense of lingering on that, right? So last year at Dubuque, I had a really horrible high jump day. I know I did, which means I didn't clear a single bar. I was really angry about it, but I took that anger and I went and ran 60-meter hurdles not even 5 minutes later, and I won. So it's essentially taking the results of one event and trying not to let it affect you moving forward throughout the day.
Have there been times where you had to overcome hurdles athletically? You just mentioned that tough day, and then you ended up just flipping the switch in the course of that singular meet. So have you ever had moments where you're just kind of questioning, why am I playing this sport? And then who has been there for you to say, hey, Natalie, this is why you're playing this sport, and then that fire is relit within you?
You definitely have your moments at your meet and even during practice where you're like, why do I play this sport? I always hurt. It's exhausting, super time consuming. It's hard sometimes, but that's why you have your teammates there to cheer you up, because your teammates see the best parts of you and they also see the worst parts of you. And they know when you're having a crummy day, and I love that my teammates are always there to be like, it's okay. We're going to move on from this. It's going to be better tomorrow, And I try to be that to these younger athletes that are coming in and seeing a collegiate track and field schedule for the very first time, which is very daunting. And so I try to be that person that's like, hey, it's going to be better tomorrow. Or, yeah, we had a bad shot day today. We're going to have a great day tomorrow,
Training demands for runners are intense. How do you balance athletics and academics, especially on the block plan where you have all sorts of schoolwork that can sometimes pile up? So how do you handle that balance?
I'm a person who thrives on having a jam-packed schedule. On the semester program, I found myself procrastinating my schoolwork a lot. We would have multiple practices a day throughout the day because multi-event athlete, so lots of different disciplines. We would have practices throughout the day. I found myself procrastinating my schoolwork a lot. So the block program, while sometimes it's an absolute pain in the butt because I'm scheduled from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., sometimes later with games because I work for Carrie as well, taking photos. It's hard sometimes and really stressful, but I feel like it makes me a better student and makes me better with my time management skills.
How has it been for you as a track and field athlete this season to have a full-time strength coach in Kurt Lamb?
Coach Lamb's been great. I like having a regular schedule when it comes to lifting. I lift outside of our program lifting, but Coach Lamb is big on Olympic lifting, which I haven't really taken a strong interest to before previously. I understand the benefits of the program, but I really like having Lamb there to explain how lifts are going to benefit us on the track. And then also he's there if we're injured, that he can come up with an alternative schedule. But it's really just been nice having consistency in that program.
Take us into your mindset during the two Saturdays, January 14th and also January 21st. When did the prospect of breaking the school record for the 60-meter hurdles cross your mind? After the fact, during, or even before that moment?
So I hadn't taken a look at the top 10 times this year. I honestly, I had no idea what it was. I figured it was sub 9. Went into the Cornell meet and I ran my race in prelims and in finals. And to me, it didn't feel like a good race. My PR coming into Cornell was 9:21. The top 10 record for this year previously was 9:24. But again, I didn't know that at the time. And I finished my race and Jerry Frawley came up to me and he said, well, how do you feel? And I was like, I felt slow. And he goes, well, you just tied the all-time school record in the hurdles. And I was like, really? So like in that moment, it was like, wow, I can do more than this. I can push myself to be faster. And we went into the Wartburg beat and I was like, I'm going to beat the Wartburg girls. The Wartburg girls are notoriously good hurdlers. And I went in there and in prelims and I was like, I'm going to beat them. I'm going to beat them right in front of their coach too. And I did. I fell. That's a different story. And then went into finals and didn't have a very good race. So just the mindset of like seeing the light at the end of the tunnel that like I can get sub 9, right? Like I can be nationally ranked. I have the ability to do that. And just talking with coaches and being in practice, it's there now and I want to achieve it.
You've been getting better and better throughout the early going of this season, equaling the school record in December before ultimately breaking the record during the weekends that I mentioned, January 14th and January 21st. What has led to that success?
So I did lots of prehab this summer, also lots of lifting, and we off-season trained in August and September this year. And I think that's really helped us come into the season stronger. Also just having a regular practice schedule. Bonner has been great with a super intensive running program that also is catered to us individually for our injury needs or for our specific event goals. And it's a lot less chaotic than it was last year. And I really appreciate that. And I think that that consistency is really helping everyone overall achieve better.
So Coach Jerry Monner is in his first season here at Cornell. What have been some things that you've noticed about him in your first couple of months under his leadership?
He's really stood up for us as athletes. He's stood up for kicking the baseball guys out of the arena because it's our practice time, He stood up for this program, and he's brought so much to this program and shown that he knows what he's talking about, And not only does he know what he's talking about, but he's willing to work with his athletes because he knows we can achieve great things. And he knows we can achieve great things even with the small numbers that we have. So imagine what we can do when we build this program, right? And I have a lot of respect for him.
Your teammates Haley, who set the record in the high jump, and also Eliza, who raced to 9th in the top 10 of Cornell's all-time list with her performance in the 800 on Saturday, are both having fantastic seasons. How has your mindset for success become contagious in the program this year?
I'm not sure that it's my mindset alone that has driven to the success of this program this year. Like I said, Monner has been doing a really good job of running this program and pushing us to be our best selves. Haley's school record yesterday ties her all-time personal best. And so she's been trying to achieve that for a while, and I was super happy to be there and watch her and cheer her on. She has so much more in the tank, ranked 5th nationally overall right now, and she can go higher and she can do great things. I think she can be a great little multi. Eliza is also a freshman, already breaking into that top 10 list. That's incredible. She also can do great things, and I can't wait to see what both of them can achieve.
What is the next task for you to tackle this season after establishing the school record not once, not twice, but 3 times in the 60-meter hurdles? What's next on your bucket list?
So my 907 ranks me 25th nationally right now. I would love to be sub 9. I would love to go to nationals. I think that would be incredible, fulfill all the childhood dreams and goals there. I would also like to attend a multi-meet. So multis are, for women, it's a pentathlon, so it's 5 events in a day. Those are usually on Fridays, so outside of our traditional track schedule. So I would love to go to a multi-meet to have the chance to qualify for nationals in the pentathlon as well. I'm ranked 31st in the nation right now in high jump with a 1.6. If I jump 165, which is one height above 5 centimeters more, that would put me 14th nationally. I don't know if I am capable of getting much above 1.6, but I would love the ability to try, and we've got lots of meets left to try it, and we've got then all of outdoor season to try it again. So I think those are my 3 goals that I have going the rest of this indoor season into outdoor season.
That sounds fantastic, and thank you so much for stopping by on this episode of the Hilltop Sports Report. Congratulations to Natalie on a fantastic season to this point. We wish her and the track and field programs nothing but success going forward. Let's take a quick look around other Cornell Rams athletics, beginning with the wrestling squad. At the 157 weight class, freshman Gabriel Smith finished in 2nd place in his bracket, and at 165 weight class, 5th-year senior Casey Allen finished 4th in his bracket in the Pete Wilson Wheaton Invitational this past weekend. Coach Brettenham's wrestling team returns to action on Saturday, February 4th in the Dubuque Invitational. We do encourage you to support the squad on Thursday, February 9th for senior night against the Cohawks. We hope to see you there. For the women's basketball team, Coach Brent Brazzi's Rams are currently standing in 3rd place in the Midwest Conference, and their only losses in conference play are to the 1st, 2nd, and 4th teams in the standings. The Cornell women's basketball team returns to Mount Vernon on Saturday, February 4th to take on the undefeated in conference play Knox Prairie Fire for Senior Day. Tip-off is scheduled for 1 p.m. from the SA. We hope to see you there to support the Rams women's basketball squad. For the Cornell men's basketball team, Coach Dave Schlabaugh's Rams have caught fire at the right time, tearing off 5 consecutive wins and 6 wins in their last 7 games. During this stretch, the Rams upset the league's number 1 team, the Blue Boys of Illinois College, by 8 at the SA this past Wednesday. Cornell men's basketball's next home game in the SA is on Saturday, February 4th against the Knox Prairie Fire. It is also going to be senior day for the Cornell College men's basketball team. The Prairie Fire of Knox is a team that the Rams beat by 25 a couple of weeks ago. Men's tennis is about to begin, and also the 2 lacrosse teams are getting ready to begin their 2023 campaigns. 6th-year men's lacrosse head coach Lane Zierten, popularly known as Coach Z to Cornelians, stopped by the ATS to chat about his journey to the Hilltop and his thoughts on the 2023 Rams. And I am pleased to be joined inside the Academic Technology Studio by Coach Lane Zierten of the men's lacrosse team here at Cornell. First of all, Coach, thank you so much for coming in today.
Yeah, Jack, thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here with you.
All right, so as the season for men's lacrosse, and women's lacrosse for that matter, is upcoming, I figured in this episode we'd preview both of the lacrosse teams' seasons. So beginning with this men's team with Coach Zierten on, Coach Z, you're entering your 6th year on the Hilltop, and you've had success leading the Rams into the postseason in back-to-back years. So take us back to your days as a goalie back at Keene University a decade ago. When did the thought of coaching enter your mind for the first time?
I think that I knew I wanted to be a full-time collegiate coach sometime during my sophomore year of college. It's a funny story. I was sitting there talking with one of our graduate assistants at the time, and he was going to my alma mater for his graduate degree in education, and he was our offensive coordinator as well, and I thought he wanted to be a teacher, right? And so we got talking, and I said, so what do you want to teach? And he goes, I don't want to teach. I said, well, you're getting your, and he goes, no, I want to be a full-time college lacrosse coach. And I said, oh, that's a thing? And he said, yeah, and I started talking to him about it, and I said, all right, let's go. What do I got to do? So I've loved athletics my whole life, and I fell in love with lacrosse the moment I started playing, but I think I knew I wanted to be a college coach right about then.
How much of yourself as a player do you see yourself now coaching when you're on the sidelines? You're able to see, through a player's eyes as well as from the coaching perspective. So how do you balance that between a player and then also, I've got a job to do as coach?
Sure, this has been a great learning curve for me. It's funny. I was a goalie, and goalies in lacrosse are similar to quarterbacks in football. You got to know what everyone's doing all the time. So you have to know what the attackmen, the offense are doing, the midfield. You have to know what the long stick middies, face-off guys, deep holes, defensemen, everything. Because especially when the ball's on the defensive half of the field, you're doing a lot of direction. So there's a lot of communication that happens with goalies. In order to do that, you have to know everybody's assignment. So I think that knowledge has helped me from an IQ standpoint. Funny enough to say, if you've ever been to any of my games, I'm a pretty loud guy. I think I'm like a modern Marvel out here in Iowa. My Jersey accent comes out and I get going. But I was actually calmer as a player. I was still very loud on the field, but I think I kept my composure really well because as a goalie, I never took penalties. I wasn't getting hit. I wasn't hitting anybody, right? And there was a certain mentality you have to be a goalie. You're going to get scored on. You got to make the next play and move on, or you're never going to make it. So that taught me a lot. And it's funny, in my early years coaching, I think that I almost forgot that at times. And so now as I've developed, it's just keeping that composure on the sideline and realizing that, hey, you're not playing in the game, right? You're coaching. You got to be there, calm, cool, and collected in all moments and come up with answers and solutions in every situation. So I think that the IQ helped me a lot. And then just being able to have that mentality of moving on to the next play. You're going to get scored on, move on to the next play. And so just trying to have that positive, upbeat, attitude and atmosphere for the guys.
Could you ever have imagined the small athletic and wellness center gym back when you first accepted the position? How has that been? This will be the first season for the men's lacrosse team in the new facilities. So kind of talk about the SAW for a minute.
Yeah, it's incredible. I think I speak for the whole staff when I say we just love it, right? It's such a beautiful place to show up to every single day, and it makes you feel good about coming to work. It makes me feel great about coaching these guys. I know the guys love it, right? They go into the locker room. It's gorgeous. The lockers are big enough for them to put their gear in now, right? That's huge, and it's the small things. To have a restroom 100 yards away from my office, right? These small little things. But I think, it was funny, man. When I first got here, they showed me the office, and my office was actually an old storage closet. And I'm not making that up. They didn't have room for the lacrosse coaches, right? They added the sports, but the old, small athletic building didn't have any more offices. So they put Coach Meyer and I where they could, and it's funny because my old storage closet was pretty big. I had a couch in there, and we had some good times with the guys and everything like that. But I think in those moments, before I knew we were going to get this building, I never dreamed of it. Even when I think President Brand told us, however it was, 4 or 5 years ago, hey, this is happening, it was almost surreal. And I'll never forget the first time I walked into the building this year, and I was blown away. They did a better job than I could have even expected. So it's just incredible, really exciting.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. I've heard that from everybody here, students, athletes, coaches. It's just been fantastic. So thank you to everybody who assisted in getting that SAW up and running to where it is now. So transitioning now into the 2023 campaign with the season approaching in a week, what are your thoughts on the 2023 Cornell College Rams men's lacrosse squad?
Yeah, it's really exciting. exciting. Jack, I don't say this lightly. I was at practice 2 mornings ago, and there was a moment at practice where I thought to myself, we're pretty good. We're going to be pretty good. And so it's a really cool group, man. We have the largest roster we've ever had. We had 27 guys on the team. So when I took over the program, I only had 14 guys in my second year. We've almost doubled the roster there. We've got a lot of talent, a lot of competition in all positions, and the guys are really working their tails off. They have been all year. We're really excited for this season. Last year we lost in the semifinals of our conference tournament, and we had our first ever winning record in the conference. So, we're looking to take that next step. And I know that not only myself, but all the guys on the team believe that we can make that happen this year. So simply put, we're excited. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we just can't wait to get out there and play our first game.
So let's go position by position now, Coach. So Kyle Drusilla is returning as a fifth-year senior, and that's obviously a huge impact on the team. So what does Kyle bring to the team, and what do you expect out of him in his fifth year?
Kyle's not just a great lacrosse player, but he's a wonderful young man. He came back. He missed the fall due to eligibility reasons and things like that, just the way his classes lined up and everything. So he wasn't with us in fall ball, and our first-year guys didn't get a chance to meet him. They had heard about him or what have you. Guys were talking. He's the reigning offensive player of the year from last season. So, I think they knew his name, but it was really great for me. One of the first workouts we had as a team, one of the first-year guys said, man, I was getting tired. I was almost going to give up. And I just heard out of back of my head there, I hear Kyle go up to him and go, "It's all good. I wasn't going to let you." And the other day in practice, I see him take a first-year guy to the side and just show him a little technique. It's called a split dodge. And, so that's, we could talk about Kyle's ability on the field, but, really he's just a wonderful young man. And for me, it's been really cool. Kyle was part of my first ever recruiting class. And so for him to come back and do a fifth year has kind of been a neat experience for me, just to have him back for one more season and kind of experience that class a little bit for one more, last chance. He's going to do a great job. And we have a lot of trust and faith in Kyle and all his teammates do too. But the best part is that, he cares about the team. More than anything, he cares about the team more than himself, and he shows that in his play as he's our program's leading assist man of all time and in a season. It's a wonderful thing. We're just excited to have him for all the right reasons, and not just because he's a great player, but, because he's an awesome teammate and a great young man.
And Kyle is part of the attack position. What are you expecting out of that attack position?
Yeah, it's really great. We actually have 2 teams for our attack this year, which is the first time our program's ever had. So, 3 guys are on the field at once. We have 6 attackmen on the team this year, which is great because it's created a lot of competition for us. And they're competing. They're all doing their very best to make my job tough, and decide who gets to be out there. So it's really cool. We have a junior in Luke Baldwin who actually was elected as a team captain by his peers. And Luke's made a huge step this year forward and really taken on that leadership role. And really, I think he earned it and he's enjoyed it. And a sophomore in Matt Norwood, who he's got this unique ability to just put the ball in the net, Sometimes it doesn't always look pretty, man, but he finds a way. And I swear he can catch everything. You can't miss him. You throw the worst pass in the world and he'll find a way to catch it and finish it. So, having those guys as upperclassmen, if you will, to join Kyle is really great. And then we have 3 first years that are all competing their butt off and showing why they deserve a shot at playing and pushing one of those 3 upperclassmen out of the way. And so it's been great. It's been awesome to have a collective unit that's going to work together. I do think we've probably leaned on Kyle a little too much in years past, and now all these guys are really competing, and they've elevated their game, and it's really cool to see all of them getting better. And so I think this attack group's going to lead our offense and score a lot of points for us, and they're all going to be involved in what we're doing, and that's a really cool thing.
So from offense now to defense, what have you seen so far in terms of the defense?
Yeah, so defensively, it's awesome. We only graduated 2 guys that were on the defense last year, and they were both wonderful players. Both of them were all conference guys, and we miss them. Yet it's really great to have the majority of the group come back. There's a lot of continuity and chemistry, and Coach Viewegg, one of our assistants, and myself, he's our defensive coordinator. We were just watching film yesterday, and it was so cool to see these guys, they know what's going on. They're not first years anymore. They're seniors and juniors, and they've played in meaningful games. And so we're just really excited about that group, and we have a lot of trust and faith in them because they've got some wonderful leadership on that side of the ball, and they work together, and they've just got a beautiful chemistry about them. And so it's funny, the early practices of the season, the defense been whooping the offense's butt, but just recently the offense had a really great day, and that's also really great for us too because, they're starting to make each other better. To have a really great unit on both sides of the ball is a great thing, and we're excited about this defensive unit we've got.
So how about the face-off position? What have you seen out of them so far?
The face-off position in lacrosse is a really unique thing in sports. It's kind of unlike anything else you'll see, and it's funny enough, actually. It's almost a wrestling match. Not to disrespect our wrestlers, that's a tough sport, but those guys kind of pretty much they're wrestling over the ball. It's a grind, and so we are going to add one guy to the group We have Lincoln Warner and Ash Olsher, who both came back as a senior and a sophomore. We are adding one guy to the group. We're still making that decision right now, so I don't want to get too much into it. But it'll be exciting to have 3 guys there and allow them to compete and, get after it. It's weird. Facing off is, lacrosse is a team game, but the face-off position is it's almost a little bit of an individual role. You're kind of on an island when you're out there. No one's really allowed to interfere with you until that ball pops out. There's a real healthy ego that comes along with that. And I think the guys that we have, they're competitors. So I think we're going to take that next step this year and just, our face-off unit is going to really allow us to have a lot of faith in them and, win us that ball back. There's nothing better in lacrosse when you play make it, take it. You go score a goal, win the next face-off, score another goal. You can demoralize the opponent pretty quickly, and we're lucky to have a couple guys who can do that for us.
And so the final position to go into, midfielder position. What are you thinking about them so far going into the season?
It's another position where it's so great for me to see. We have 3 seniors right now. Ethan Kupka is listed as an attackman on our website, but he really plays at the midfield position for us, mostly offensive midfield. And then we have Josh Pfeiffer and Warren Weiberg as seniors. So to see all 3 of those seniors and their progression over their 4 years, this being their 4th, has been really fun for me, They've all elevated their game every single year. And so to have that leadership and have guys that can help these younger guys, from the top down and allow them to learn has been a beautiful thing. This is the first year we really have leaders in terms of senior leadership on the team, where we're going to have a lot of guys who are in important roles for us that, are older. So they've been out there and they've played in meaningful games and they know what it looks like. They're going to be calm on the field and collected, right? So, just starting with those guys. And then the other great thing is we have a lot of young guys at the midfield position, which is something that's somewhat new for us. And a lot of them have really shown that they can play and practice. And so, like I said earlier about the attack group, these middies are making my job tough. They're competing right now, and we couldn't be prouder of them. It's been a really great group. And like I just told you, the offense had a wonderful day in practice the other day. It was a cool moment to see that happen. And then I do want to just touch base on, in lacrosse, it's kind of funny. The midfield position is kind of separated into offensive middies and defensive middies, and then a position that's called long stick midfielder. And so we have 3 first-year guys that play the long stick midfield position, and they're all really quality. And so they're going to help us, and they're guys that, people don't know we have, right? And they're going to step into roles this year for sure. They've shown enough all fall and even now that, they deserve that opportunity. And so they're going to help us a lot at the midfield, just pushing transition from defense to offense and scoring goals.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Coach Z, for going position by position and sharing with us your thoughts on your team so far this year. So let's return to your sideline demeanor. Obviously, the beginning of the season in Iowa weather is quite a shock. I mean, it gets intense and it gets real quickly. So are you the type of person to stand out in 10-degree weather in shorts and a t-shirt, or are you more likely to have 2 coats, snow pants, a warm hat, maybe another pair of gloves, 2 pairs of gloves? What's your sideline attire?
I don't like to be cold, Jack. I got to tell you, man, I coached the wrong sport for it, but we get out there because we got work to do. So no, I'm leggings with the snow pants on top and boots, thick socks. I've got the gloves and an extra set in case they get wet. Wool hat, usually an Under Armour with a polo on top and a hoodie and my my big Parker winter jacket that I have branded for Cornell lacrosse. I don't like being cold at all, and actually the guys pick on me quite a bit for my outfits because they go, "Come on, coach, it's not that cold," and I'm like, "Hey, I'm the one standing around, you're running." But it was funny. A couple years ago, we played a game, and I'll leave the opponent out, but their coach came over before the game. You always handshake the opponent coach, wish him good luck. And he comes over to me and he says, "Come on, coach, it's not that cold out." He had I think maybe a long sleeve and a pair of shorts on, and I was decked head to toe. And I said, "Look, I got no time to be cold, Jack."
That sounds good. So what goes into your game day and practice preparations for you as a coach, your staff, and then also the team? What does that look like?
It's a lot behind the scenes, We always like to say that if you're coaching them on game day, it's too late, right? And there are certainly things you need to do on game day as a coach, right? You got to be able to read and react and adjust to what the opponent's doing if they come out with something different than you expected and things like that. And, for the most part for us, we like to be really prepared. So I'm really lucky. I've got a great coaching staff. I have 4 assistant coaches, and they all really help out. And so I'm lucky there. And as a group, we'll watch a lot of film. Lacrosse is similar to football in that sense for folks that are maybe less familiar with our sport. It's a lot of film work and behind-the-scenes stuff, creating scouting reports and getting ready for matchups and things of that sort. So we'll have our scouting reports with us on the sideline, different adjustments we need to make. Maybe they started a guy different than we expected, and, we'll go back to our notes and say, okay, what do we have on him? So we're usually watching anywhere between 3 and 5 different sets of game films on our opponents, and that helps us a lot to get prepared for game day, to make sure that, we're ready for all situations. And the most important thing is just staying in the moment, keeping the mind, and just kind of letting the game happen and collecting information in the early portions so we can adjust as best possible, to help the guys get a victory.
That sounds incredibly awesome. I'm excited. You got me fired up. I'm ready to cheer on the Rams this season. Thank you so much, Coach. So we've got a very important question to close out our interview. I don't know if you've heard, but there was some controversy on episode 2 of the podcast regarding the restaurant called Pancheros. Cornell track and field athlete Nathan Waters believes that Pancheros is considered a fast food restaurant, while his fellow track and field athlete Brevin Hahn is of the opinion that Pancheros is not fast food. So, Coach Z, have you ever been to Pancheros, and would you care to comment your thoughts on this very important issue?
I'm really glad you brought this up, Jack. I did have a chance to listen to the podcast, and I had a hoot listening to those guys fight over it. I thought it was a good time. I'm going to mess everybody up. I'm a Chipotle fan.
Chipotle?
Yeah, so I'm a Chipotle guy. I'm not born and raised in Iowa, so everyone out here loves Pancheros. They go, hey, we're going to Panch, and I'm like, no, we got to go to Chipotle. Chipotle is an often stop for us on the way home from games, and nobody in Iowa has lacrosse but us in Dubuque, so there's not like we're, near a Panch a whole lot. Now, I have to say, if I got to answer the question, I got to go with Nathan on this one. It's fast food. Now, it's fine dining fast food. I think it's a high cuisine here, you know what I mean? And it's one of my favorite places to go to, but I think I have to settle the debate here, at least now. I don't know if you're going to ask anyone in the future, but I'm going with Nathan on this one. It's fast food.
All right. Well, thank you so much for giving your very important thoughts. I was just wondering, and we had to get that in here because it's a very important issue on the Hilltop Sports Report. Okay, so the men's lacrosse team here at Cornell opens up their season on Saturday, February 4th in Des Moines for an exhibition against William Penn. The first regular season competition of 2023 is a week later in Shreveport, Louisiana against Centenaire. Cornell then returns home and will take on Illinois Tech on Saturday, February 18th at 3 p.m. at Van Meter Field at Ash Park. Best of luck to Coach Zierten and the Rams this season. Thank you so much for stopping by into the Academic Technology Studio for this episode, Coach C.
Just want to say thanks for having me on. It's been a blast, and go Rams.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Coach C. Good stuff right there from Coach C. Thank you to Lane Zierten for stopping by the ATS. Fans, do you have any questions about Cornell athletics that you'd like to share? How about former Rams? Do you have any sports-related stories to share about your time on the Hilltop? The Hilltop Sports Report podcast would love to hear from you. Email us at hilltopsportsreport@cornellcollege.edu with your inquiries or tales. Once again, that's hilltopsportsreport@cornellcollege.edu. We'd love to hear from you. And now, to close out our show of interviews, it's time to hear from the women's lacrosse squad here at Cornell College. Cheyenne Greenenwald and Indy Smith stopped by the Academic Technology Studio for a sit-down interview with me, and so let's hear from both of those players on the 2023 Cornell Rams women's lacrosse squad. And now I'm joined inside the Academic Technology Studio by two juniors on the women's lacrosse team here at Cornell. We've got Cheyenne Greenenwald and Indy Smith. Thank you so much for coming in this afternoon.
Thanks.
No
for
problem.
having
Thanks for having us.
Why did you first decide to play lacrosse? Cheyenne, we'll start with you. When did you first decide to play lacrosse and why?
So my freshman year of high school, I got cut from the volleyball team and then started weightlifting with the lacrosse girls. And they were like, you should join. So my sophomore year, I tried out and I made the team and fell in love with it.
How about you, Indy?
I played soccer in high school. That was like my main sport. And so I needed to stay in shape in the off season. So I decided to join lacrosse because I didn't know how to do anything else either. And one of my friends was doing it.
So you just mentioned soccer. If you didn't play lacrosse at Cornell, would you have played soccer here, or what other sport would you have played?
Yeah, probably soccer. I actually joined the soccer team at the tail end of this past season, so I'm hoping to get like more involved next year.
All right.
But yeah, I would definitely say I would play soccer if I wasn't playing lacrosse here.
Okay, so do you have a favorite sports team? On the last episode of the podcast, Brevin Hahn from the track and field team said that his favorite team was the Chicago Bears, and they were so you're cheering for the Bears too?
Bears.
Oh, Joe Burrow.
I like baseball the best.
All right.
Rays.
Go Rays, Tampa Bay, Kevin
Yep.
Cash.
But we love Kevin Cash.
Yes.
But it's football season right now, so go Bengals.
Yeah, as a Pirates fan, I wish not to discuss the Rays because they kind of duped the Pirates, but that's a story for another day and another time. What are some of your favorite lacrosse memories, be it in high school or college? Do you have kind of top 5, top 3, top 1 memories that you want to share?
My freshman year here, I made my first ever goal because I got recruited as a goalie, and then in high school I played defense. So my first goal was here at Cornell.
I don't know. I really liked traveling with the team last year. I just had a lot of fun whenever we were on the road.
It was a vibe. We partied.
Yes. Oh my God, I loved that practice that it started like blizzarding.
And he made us run.
He made us stay outside.
We had to do.
The field was covered by the
was-
time we went in. It was so fun.
It started out as a nice practice, and then it started blizzarding.
See the other goal because it was snowing so hard. It was so fun.
Obviously in Iowa, it gets kind of cold in the beginning of the season. So kind of talk about the training demands when it's really cold. How do you stay motivated and say, I got to go to practice today and it's really cold. I don't really want to, but it's all about getting better. So how do you stay motivated in that sense?
Yesterday was the perfect example. Friday?
Friday.
We had outdoor practice, and the wind was horrible.
It was bad. But by the end, none of us wanted to go inside. So it's fine. It's bad, too, the combo, because preseason we're inside, but it's at like 5 a.m. So it's the waking up when it's freezing cold and like going outside to go to the arena and run around at 6 in the morning.
Our schedule changes a lot
But
in the preseason.
I think there's like a definite energy in preseason. We're like all so excited to play. So it's easy to get up as soon as you like see your teammates. You're
It's
like, oh my
nice
God.
with this year's team because we all genuinely love the sport so much. Like we are here for lacrosse and to play lacrosse. Like no one's complaining about having to go to practice.
That's a good way to be. How is leadership defined on the team? Are there labeled captains, leadership by example? What does that look like under Meredith Meyer?
So Indy and I were nominated captains this year, so we do have labeled captains. Coach Meyer also brought in a leadership board this year. So there are 4 people on it.
I think
Meg, Cece,
Anna,
Alexis, and Anna.
Yeah.
So they each have like different labels. So Meg is team bonding and Anna's fundraising. So she wants them to be able to support the team along with Indy and I while we are captaining and doing our captainly duties.
And it's fun, too, because we have, like, weekly awards where we hand out, like, most improved for the week, MVP for the week. So there's always incentives to, like, lead even if you don't have a labeled position. Coach Meyer understands the disconnect that's, like, inherent between coaches and teammates. So she comes up with things like the leadership board to, like, work as a liaison between. She's good at that.
Yeah.
I think it's been great so far because it makes us more comfortable in like bringing concerns to her because we have like teammates that we can talk to about it first. But also it definitely like fosters a closer team when we're all competing at practice and then applauding each other's achievements.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing is applauding the achievements. Like we can really bring each other up.
You mentioned assistant coach Hemi Collier already, so I'm getting a big reaction right now. So what are your thoughts on your assistant coaches Hemi Collier and also Jill Hopper?
We love them.
This is how we explain them. Hemi is the awesome father figure.
He's the team
like our
dad.
And Hopper is the cool aunt. She
Yeah.
came to practice the other day and everyone just started screaming her name.
It's
Hey.
nice because we have like Coach Myers, our head coach, and then Hemi's our defensive coach, and then Hopper's our goalie coach. So they have like specific roles within the coaching staff, which is nice, but also they're just awesome figures to see around campus or at the airport. Hopper works at TSA
Hopper works
also.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
Wow.
we get to see her whenever we go home. It's really nice.
That's really cool. Obviously, in any sport, it's important to suffer a setback. You have to keep going. In lacrosse, if there's a goal scored on you, how do you keep going and respond to that adversity?
I think it's nice. We love our goalies so much.
So much.
Like they, I think, are like the universal favorite players on the team, Kat and Hannah.
Yep.
So knowing that we like let them down if there's a goal scored makes us all like fight harder to put one in the back of the other net. Also, we work really, really hard at practice and in the off season. So like all of those early mornings, we're definitely like reminded of them before every game. Or like remember all of those miles that we ran at 6 a.m. That's why we did it.
We practice how we want to play on the field. That's like the biggest thing that is said every practice.
For sure.
Practice how you want to play. So that's like if we do get scored on, our biggest thing is bringing each other up after the bad times too, not just the good times.
And it's nice we have like rivals in our conference.
Oh yeah,
that
we got
like.
some teams that are
Yeah.
like,
We really want to beat this year.
What are your initial thoughts on the 2023 team and expectations for this season?
I'm really excited for this season. I mentioned earlier how everyone on this team genuinely loves the sport and genuinely wants to be here, and that is what makes a team good. Yes, every team's going to have drama or bitterness sometimes, but we play through that together so that we can win as a team. Like, everyone wants to be here and is trying their hardest.
My expectation this year for this team is to win.
Every game.
Yeah. No, I think we're going to take mad dubs this year. I'm really excited.
We're getting into that.
We've had our first week of practice so far, so we've just been doing basic stuff, nothing too big, and already I'm so excited.
So excited.
It's going to be so fun. Our first game is what?
February 17th.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Yeah, at William Penn, and then also the home opener is 8 days later
Yep.
in Mount Vernon against the Beloit Buccaneers. So we do encourage everybody to tune in for that one, either on the internet and also come out to Mount Vernon to Van Meter Field at Ash Park and cheer on the Rams.
Bring your coat.
Bring your coat. Yes, it's going to be kind of cold.
Blankets.
Yeah.
As we wind down, do you have any personal goals for the season in terms of achievements that you've set for yourself, or are you going to try and do whatever is necessary to get the team to win this year?
Personally, I want to be more confident on the field. Last year, I was very timid and shy, and I think that this year is going to be a good year for me personally because I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to be like, I got this.
I mean, we're both captains too, so I want to put in like full effort every practice. I want to make sure that for me and also I think for Cheyenne that like we're always working the hardest on the field.
Yep.
Also, since Hemi's our defensive coach, I always want to play to make Hemi proud.
Yep.
So I want to get the most ground balls this year so that Hemi can brag to all his friends.
The Rams open up their 2023 season on Friday, February 17th at William Penn. And as I mentioned, in Mount Vernon, Saturday, February 25th, the Rams host the Beloit Buccaneers at 1 p.m. Best of luck on a successful season. Thanks to Cheyenne and to Indy for stopping by the Academic Technology Studio.
Go Rams!
Thank you so much to Natalie McAllister, to Coach Lane Zierten, to Cheyenne Greenenwald, and to Indy Smith for stopping by the Academic Technology Studio for this episode 3 of the Hilltop Sports Report. Thank you so much for tuning in. The Cornell Rams website, the Rams social media platforms, and me on Twitter at Jumpin Jack 123 will keep you posted on when episode 4 of the podcast will drop. My name is Jumpin Jack Carlson, speaking on behalf of the Cornell College Rams, saying, I'll see you next time.
Let's go Rams! Let's go Rams!